Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're back doing another 6222 Swiss draft. Eldritch Moon, Shadows over Innistrad. Please subscribe to the Seems Good Magic YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to like the video if you enjoy the content. Thank you so much. On to the pack. Okay, so we've got Liliana's Elite, Nebelgast Herald, Borrowed Grace, Hostility, Drag Under, Vilden Pack Outcast. A lot of good options here. And I'm not sure which one I like the most. Starting it off, the strongest card. I mean, Outcast is good. I found it goes very late. Very, very late. Liliana's Elite is, of course, very good. Nebelgast Herald is good. I guess we can first pick the Herald. I mean, it's a flash flyer, surprise blocker that can tap something down. It interacts with other cards in the set. Not a hyper exciting start, but a powerful card nonetheless. Okay, so follow-up pick now. We've got some options, some good ones too. We've got the Cultist, the Lashweed Lurker, Prey Upon, Uvenwald Captive. All of these cards have my attention. I'm kind of leaning towards the Lurker. I'm really into Emerge right now. I found it's just a really good, really powerful mechanic. And there were a couple comments, at least I think, talking about how Emerge isn't good in certain decks. I like to think of it more like there's some decks that are primed for Emerge, but the beauty of it is, think of it like an aura almost. If you're ending up sacking a 3-drop that's still pretty decent, think of it like you're upgrading for a cheaper price into something. So it's like you're putting all your eggs in one basket, which of course you're doing when you're playing cards like Lunarch Mantle or Senseless Rage. I think I am going to take the Lashweed Lurker here over the Captive, even though Captive is very good too. The Lurker's a really strong card. I've been super impressed. Okay, well, Bloodbrier's a good follow-up. And there's not a ton of powerful cards remaining in this pack. I have played against Campaign of Vengeance. I had it in one deck, played with it, but I never got a chance to get it out. Bloodbriar is definitely good if we end up with some more Emerge. And there's actually quite a few, surprisingly a lot of sacrifice permanents that you sacrifice with an effect. So, and all we're really passing for it that's in blue or green is Convolute. And the strongest card in this pack, I don't even know. Nothing special. It might actually be the Bloodbriar. So we'll take the Bloodbriar here. Okay. So the pick now it's probably going to be the Survivalist. I've been really impressed with this card. There's Curious Homunculus, which is more of a blue-red card. Same with Thermo Alchemist. Abundant Maw is a card I actually like. But if we've got good playable blue or green, just based on our first 3 picks, we might as well continue down that path. And like I said, Survivalist is a good beat stick. Better than Swift Spinner, surely. Better than Priest in white. So it's the best green card for us. And like I said, the blue cards aren't really in the deck that we're going for, even though Fogwalker does have synergy with Nebelgast Herald. Okay, so the pick now. We've got the Primal Druid, which is going to interact really nicely with any sort of Emerge that we get. We have the Laboratory Brute, which is good for our Delirium card. Field Creeper, same sort of thing, good for Delirium. I think we'll go with our first Primal Druid. I'm okay with that. Works well in this archetype, so seems like it'll be a fine pick for us. Holds down the fort early on for a little while. Even kind of pairs well with any sort of flyer that we may or may not end up with. I've actually been really impressed with Chilling Grasp. This card seems to buy a lot of time. Otherwise, it's a Fogwalker. There's a Subjugator Angel 6th pick. That's pretty crazy. That is a wee bit crazy. It's a powerful card. Shouldn't really be this late. I could see myself playing Chilling Grasp, but maybe we want to possibly work towards maybe green-white? I mean, Subjugator's certainly stronger than Chilling Grasp, but Chilling Grasp is quite good. Good card for buying time. I guess we'll take the Angel just in case. white is open for some reason. All right, now I guess we'll take the Cultist. Could be just a fluke. I don't think I'm rating Subjugator too highly. This card is very, very strong. So we'll take the Cultist over the Druid. Okay, I've actually been pretty impressed with Wolfkin Bond. This card has been kind of a heavy hitter in the format. This should be in the 5-drop slot. I think more exciting than Convolute and Terrarian. There's a Faithbearer Paladin in here as well. But we seem to be getting pretty good blue and green, actually. So might as well continue down that path while we're still making it work. Okay, we can take a Consecrator here. It's not particularly good, but there's nothing else in here we really care about. That's a really late Liliana's Elite. This card is actually very strong. We're going to take it here. I guess we can cut another Consecrator. Just cut green. So I guess at this point I wish I'd take the Chilling Grasp over Subjugator, but Subjugator, I don't know. Like I said, 6th pick Subjugator is kind of surprising to me. You don't typically see a 6th pick Subjugator. Well, here's a Gavony Unhallowed, which is really good too. Might be, like, I don't think this strategy really wants a contingency plan anyway, so we'll take the Unhallowed. Okay, I guess we'll take an Augmentation, take the Shield. All right. So I've got a couple other directions if something were to dry up, but it seems like we still, our best direction is going to be the blue-green. What's Selfless Spirit worth these days? Last I checked, it was a few tickets. It's only 2 now, so I guess that's not that much. Although this pack is fairly weak for us. We can take the Mutation. In black, we have Murder. I mean, we have 2 good black picks right now. If I were going to cut a color, I guess we could end up cutting blue. Maybe we sort by color for now and sort of take a look. So we're obviously green, and that's a fantastic base color to have if we want to end up splashing. I actually really like green anyway. I think black-green is fantastic. So maybe we just take the Murder here. I'm not really giving up too much. I'm giving up a couple tickets, as I said, but, I mean, Murder is a very high priority pick. Certainly a better card than Spontaneous Mutation. I mean, we're kind of giving up on the Lurker, but we can actually splash for Lurker. I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, I think we're going to take Murder here. Just a really powerful removal spell. So we have a second Lurker. We have a Foul Emissary, which is also good for a merge. Spreading Flames, Drag Under, another Primal Druid. So we've got some options. And actually, our first Primal Druid also will let us play Lashweed Lurker easier. We can just take a second Lurker. I like the card a lot. It's a very good card. We're going to need some removal at some point, but I mean, we have the Murder. Still potentially base blue-black now splash, or excuse me, green-black splash blue. That's still an option we have at our disposal. I can take the Prowler. It's just not as good as the Lurker. Lurker is very good. Lurker is a very strong card. I think we're going to just take the second one here. There's some other good options here, but we might actually wheel something we want from this pack, whether it be a Drag Under, Primal Druid, Prowler, or Emissary, or at worst, maybe a Convolute, which if we still maybe hedge back towards blue, that could be what we're looking at. All right, this seems like a pretty clear Uvenwald Captive, which is just always fantastic. Ramp plus late game win con. I really can't stress enough how excellent this card has been in the format. Over a Grapple with the Past, which is actually a good card too. Whether you're looking for a splash color or trying to turn on Delirium, it's proven itself to be very good. Let's take the Captive here. Okay, so there's Abundant Maw now. Yet another Emerge card. We can take the Shrill Howler, which turns into a good creature, but the fact that it's a 3/1 on the surface, it's not that big of a deal, I guess. It is hard to block as well, which I like. There's a Cultist, which I guess it moves us a little bit back closer to blue. Or the Abundant Maw, which I do like. I mean, currently we can, even if taken out the augmentation, we have 3 pretty good black cards. I like all of these black cards quite a bit. So we could take the Maw. We could just be safe and take the Shrill Howler, because we're still sort of trying to figure out what our main second color is. And it's just a very playable, it is a very playable green card, despite the fact that it's got, I mean, if you buff it, it's basically unblockable, which is insane. Like, if you put a Wolfkin Bond on this, they just can't block it. So there's Permeating Mass, which is good for buying time. There's Spontaneous Mutation, which is good with, like, Grapple with the Past and anything that fills the graveyard, which green has a lot of, especially with Emerge. We have Terrarian, which would help us get Delirium as well as Fix. It might just be the pick for us here. I don't know about Permeating Mass. It seems like I've drafted it before, but I haven't gotten a chance to play with it. I've never really been super sold on it making the deck. So I don't know. We could just take a Terrarian here. It's probably fine. Or we can take the Mutation. Maybe we just take the Mutation. Black maybe still doesn't pan out. Geez, well, that's a late Geist of the Archives. Yeah, I mean, we can just stick with the green-blue. I was open to possibly going down the black path, but there's also a Survivalist and a Druid in here, but Geist is just a very strong card. All right, wow. We're getting great cards here. There is a Certain Death, which is splashable, but I think we're going to take the second Survivalist. I've had a few decks where you just get to go captive into Survivalist, and it's pretty excellent. Could hopefully find a Wicker Witch out of the third pack if we need it. So let's take the Survivalist here, pretty happily. Over Crop Sigil, which is kind of at home in a deck like this, but I'm happy to take a Survivalist. All right, Grapple coming back is fantastic. A couple Delirium cards already. I'm liking it. I'm loving it. All right, a second Mutation, which I'm okay with. Like, I think this card works better when you have a lot of evasion, but it's certainly fine if you don't, seeing as you can play it as a combat trick. Works excellent with Grapple with the Past and in green in general. We already have 15 creatures, so we can kind of ignore Swift Spinner. And Field Creeper is going to be good for Delirium, but I think we can find a replacement for that. So let's just take the second Mutation. Like, already, ooh, got a Primal Druid back. Or we can get our Terrarian now, which is fine too. I think I'm going to take the second Primal Druid. Let's just take out the Consecrators, because this doesn't strike me as a Consecrator deck so much. I don't think we're going to play Lunar Force. Let's just take Wailing Ghoul, I guess. Wailing Ghoul is certainly good with Liliana's Elite. But, ooh, that's probably the latest Exultant Cultist I've ever seen, so that's pretty fantastic. I mean, they are humans, so they do work alongside the Consecrator. I can leave them in until we want to cut them, because it seems like black is getting the cut for now. Like, this isn't worth splashing. You can't really splash a Murder. Liliana's Elite is good, but probably not worth a splash, and same with Unhallowed. So we have 4. All of these black cards are playable, but none of them really scream move towards black now, especially when we're getting, what, third to last pick Exultant Cultist, as well as a super late Geist of the Archives. So seems like we're in the right deck in that respect. Okay. Well, Ulvenwald Mysteries has always proven itself to be an excellent card. And if we get lucky enough to get an ongoing investigation, the old ongoing investigation Ulvenwald Mysteries synergy is out of this world. So let's hope we can make that happen. It also spits out humans, not irrelevant when you have some Consecrators. Although, like I said, we probably want to ditch the Consecrators. Mysteries gets amazing with Exultant Cultist too. I know you're not investigating, but you want this to die anyway, and then it eventually turns into another card draw as well as a 1/1. I mean, that's very good. Byway Courier works better with the mysteries because you actually get to, I mean, you have to pay the mana, unlike this where you just draw, but you pay the mana, you get eventually 2 1/1s, which is just amazing. Yeah, mysteries is super value. So we've got Moldgraph Scavenger as well. We can hope to wheel that, or even the Autumnal Gloom, although not being able to activate the ability on it is a bit of a turnoff for me. But let's take this Mysteries. Be happy about that. Okay. This pack is pretty devoid of anything we want. We could take the Kindly Stranger. Might be worth a splash off the Primal Druids. Like I said, you really can't splash any of our other black cards, but I mean, there's nothing in here. We could splash for Necropod. It's a big finisher. It's a good finisher. The problem with splashing Kindly Stranger is that there's quite a bit of requirement. You can't just splash black and then play and use Kindly Stranger. It's going to cost you 2 black. So it's not really, it's still, it requires setup to get the ultimate value. So it probably makes more sense to just splash Necropod if I'm going to splash any card. It seems a bit early to take the Clipwings for sideboard. I mean, we have a couple of mutations, which I think this deck is just definitely going to play. So I'm okay taking the Necropod here. These should be in the 5-drop slot, I think. Or maybe even 4 if we have to sack a 3-drop. Let's take the Necropod. Necropod has good synergy with Bloodbriar. Just kind of noticed that. Okay, so Fork in the Road helps our splash as well. Works towards some Delirium. Fortified Village. Don't really have a white card that we can splash. And Rise from the Tides. We just don't have enough spells to really ever hope to get value off of that. I guess we'll just take the Fork in the Road. This pack, once again, sort of devoid of anything we want. I mean, there's a Runaway Carriage, which helps with Delirium, but it's not like we're a dedicated Delirium deck. We basically have 2 Survivalists, and that's it. Okay. So, Graph obviously good with the Mysteries. Briarbridge Patrol, also good with Mysteries, but doesn't require it. Graph blocks better than Patrol. Patrol's in a more relevant creature type for our deck, but once again, I think we're probably going to end up axing these Consecrators. I'm okay taking Graph here. We still have the chance of getting Ongoing Investigation, although, albeit it's fading fast. But I think I'm okay taking Graph here. Like, if we have Graph and Mysteries out, that is big. That is really big. So, Gargoyle, I think, is vastly superior to Wicker Witch, so I'm fine taking that. Over the Press for Answers, although Press would be good too, with the Graph especially. But Gargoyle, it's just awesome card. Blocks early, win con late. Seems like an easy swap for Consecrator. So Corpse Trawler in here as well, which we could actually theoretically activate the ability with. And it's a good Emerge body, actually. But I think we're good on Emerge bodies. Double Primal Druid, double Exultant Cultist. Like, we're fine. Watcher in the Web seems like a great card for this deck. Loam Dryad would actually be fine, too. But I really like Watcher in the Web in general. And I really like it a lot for this deck, where I think we can pretty reliably, if we can buy time, we can take some games over. Let's cut our second Consecrator here. Still pretty much unnecessary for us to win. Second Watcher. You know, I'm okay taking a second one. What's the weakest card in our deck right now? I'm actually unsure. We're looking pretty nice. Maybe even the Nebelgast Herald. Just because we really don't have any other spirits. It does fly, but I don't know. Maybe the Graph because we only have one card that actually synergizes with it. So I'd rather have something that can evade and tap something down in a pinch. Especially since we're almost completely devoid of removal. Yeah, I mean, this deck's going to struggle with no removal, I think, but I guess I was just hoping to see some removal, like a Rabbit Bite or two or something. I mean, Lurker are temporary removal, and Mutation can be some soft removal as well. So I think we missed the boat on any hope of getting Ongoing Investigation, unfortunately, but that's all right. we still have some win cons in here, some heavy hitters. So what are we cutting from this? Could end up losing to Expose Evil. We can probably beat a Twins. Alright. I don't need any of the blue cards. So Groundskeeper, but the only card I think that even gets lands in our graveyard is Fork in the Road and Grapple with the Past. So probably unnecessary. We'll just take a Root out for sideboard. Alright, now we'll take the Wheeled Clipwings, which is fine for sideboard. Even though we have Double Watcher, it's probably unnecessary. I guess we can take the Runaway Carriage. Pretty unlikely to play it. Blood Mat I'm more worried about than the Emissary. And Drownyard Temple, we're making a 3-color thing happen, so I think that's out. Guess we'll take a Revenant. So I mean, I can splash for Elite or Unhallowed if I want, because we have a lot of creatures, but it's probably unnecessary. So I guess we don't need the Graph Mole in this deck. And that would be our only cut we'd have to make if I want to play 17 lands, which I probably do. The rest seems fine. So basically the main issue with this deck is we don't have any removal, but I feel like I don't remember passing any hard removal, or at least passing any hard removal for something that was worse. Like we passed Prey Upon, which I definitely would have played. We saw 0 Rabid Bites. We saw 0 Sleep Paralysis. We have a couple Spontaneous Mutations, but like I said, they're pretty light removal. They certainly don't deal with activated abilities. We have Lashweed Lurkers, which, you know, more of a tempo removal, but I could cut the Wolfkin Bond. Yeah, I mean, I can. I kind of like it. Turn something into a big threat. We have no way to recur it, though, so it might just be unnecessary. We don't really have any evasion, do we? No evasion, no hard removal is a big problem. Well, I guess we have the Gargoyle and the Nebelgast, so I want to keep the Nebelgast just because we don't have any evasion. We do have enough finishers, like Captive, Shrill Howler, the Survivalist with Delirium, Lurkers, Necropod. Like, we have guys that can just win the game, but usually those guys want some backup. They want some combat tricks, which we don't have. They want some... I mean, you can count Mutation as a combat trick, I guess, but you know what I'm saying. Like, some actual, like, no aim highs. I'm very surprised we didn't end up with some combat tricks. It's very surprising. So like I said, we can cut the Wolfkin Bond because we probably already have enough ways to win. Graph Mole is basically just like a 3-mana blocker, which isn't great. Mysteries for some card advantage. Geist of the Archives for some card advantage. For some reason, I kind of want to keep the Wolfkin Bond, but maybe I don't need 2 Primal Druids. We do only have 2 Emerge guys in this deck, and we are splashing for black, but we also have Fork in the Road. It seems like we don't need multiple Primal Druids, especially to just splash for a Morkrat Necropod. Or emerge out one of our 2 Lashweed Lurkers, especially when we have 2 Exultant Cultists. Or even the Graph Mole. Like, I'm happy to sacrifice a Graph Mole to a Lurker if we need it. Like I said, you don't need to sacrifice a value card like Primal Druid or Exultant Cultist and emerge out a guy and to feel good about it. Like, you can, you know, sacrifice even your Bloodbriar or... Actually, Bloodbriar with Mysteries is going to be insane. I just realized that, but... Nebelgast Herald, even though it flies, still, you might have to sack it to get your Lashweed Lurker out. You should feel okay doing that. You don't, like, feel bad about doing something like that. That's not a big deal. Sometimes you just have to cast your Emerge guy. So be thankful that you can when you need it. I think we're going to axe the Primal Druid. I've already got one. We don't have a ton of Emerge in here. We only have 2. We have plenty of 3-drops to sack and get it on turn 4 if we really need it. So I think this looks fine to me. I wish we had some hard removal. I wish we had some more evasion, but we're going to have to settle for this. So I think 17 lands should be okay with the captive and the fork in the road. It's kind of like we have additional ways to get that extra land, and our curve is not like absurd. We have a good amount of early stuff going on with this deck. I wish we had more weight. Like if we'd gotten a Vessel of Nascency, I think that would have helped a lot, fed our spontaneous mutation. So we might have some trouble getting cards in our graveyard for the mutation, but I think we got to run them. We just don't have anything else kind of going on in the removal department. So for that reason, I think this deck could have some issues for that reason, but we're going to have to run it like this. So I forgot already. I only need 1 swamp. That's for sure. They agree. 11 green seems pretty excessive. I guess the fork in the road can also count as an island. So maybe we just want to do 10-6-1. We only need 1 blue. And we can... well, the thing is we want to fork in the road for our swamp. So it might actually make more sense to go 9-7-1. Because the fork in the road, for the most part, I imagine, is going to be finding our swamp. And we're only going to use it for blue if we really need that blue. And remember, that's going to make getting the Necropod out a little more difficult unless we can get rid of our Primal Druid, which I hope we can do too. All right, so I think this is the deck. Like I said, curve's not that bad. We've got a game plan. It's just the main shortcomings of this deck are, of course, that we're missing hard removal and we're missing some evasion. But despite that, we still have enough finishers, and it looks like we should probably pretty reliably be able to get Delirium online, right? Enchantment, Artifact Creature, Sorcery Land, Instant, that puts stuff in your graveyard, plenty of creatures, enchantment. So yeah, this deck can get Delirium for sure. And we don't even have that much Delirium, right? Just the Survivalist. But the Survivalist with Delirium is a big deal. Like the difference between a 4-3 and a 5-4 trample is pretty immense. All right, so this is the deck. This is how we're going to run it. We'll see you round 1.